Good morning, lovelies, or good afternoon. If it's very, very late at night, go to bed. Like this will be on video later. There's no pressure. And Catherine,
Absolutely.
hello. You rightly point out that this is the very last session of the official boot camp. Actually, Ramon, would it be useful to chat for a little bit about what we're going to do immediately after this? Because we're both on the air and you're a 45-minute flight away, so I feel reasonably confident bullying you much more aggressively than I would bully most of the learners. What are you going to do for the first couple of weeks after this boot camp?
Oh, I am going to nap.
Cool. So both of
How
us are going
about
to
you,
take
Jess?
a little bit of a rest. So we're going to unplug for a little bit. We're not going to be streaming, even informally, but want to go ahead and rest for a week or two and then come back and start planning what boot camps will look like after this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, in between this and the next boot camp, Ramon, is it fair that we'll probably do a little bit of informal streaming ourselves?
Yes, yes. In my own spare time, I've been doing a little bit of like Rust learning on
What's
air.
Rust?
Oh, sorry. Yes, of course. Rust is a is
Sorry.
a is a very fun, very strict, very safe programming language.
Very, very strict.
Mm.
What does
It's
that mean?
Yeah, it's got opinions on stuff. Like if we're, for example, if we're talking about JavaScript, remember there were different types of stuff like numbers and strings
Yeah.
and booleans. Rust is very, I mean, amongst other things, is very careful to tell you, hey, if you're working with a string, this other thing you're working with better be a string as well.
Okay. So it's like it's not necessarily like JavaScript, but it's another programming language for folks
Yes.
who've done sort of JavaScripty stuff. It might feel a little like variables exist.
Yep.
Cool. So a lot of the same concepts, except it's a lot fussier about the rules than JavaScript. Is that fair?
Oh, I like that. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, fabulous. But yeah. Oh gosh. Hello from Spain. Oh gosh, I hope the weather in Spain is better than it. Although y'all are getting the storm blowing into Europe proper right now, aren't you?
Oh dear.
For those of us in the United Kingdom, we had a weird day yesterday, but hopefully today is better. Um, and today, what we're going to do on the stream is mostly just chill. So we're
Mhm.
going to answer any of the questions you have about the web development stuff, about the bootcamp stuff, your general tech questions if you've got them as well. And if we
Yep.
don't have any, we'll probably noodle around, work on that little website we were playing with, or just play
Ooh.
like browser games and chill until you want
Jess,
to play that snake one?
the which one? Sorry.
Oh, yeah, no, never mind. I'm never doing browser games when I should be doing. Seriously, are you not aware that there's an entirely new vista of in-browser games that feel very much like the I'm dating myself here, but the high point of Flash games?
Oh, that was. I mean, I don't know about these new ones, but the Flash games that was my high school in a nutshell.
High school. Oh gosh, yeah. So people are pointing out when we're saying, oh, with Rust, for example, if you try and give it the right thing, NAN is,
Oh
and
yeah,
somebody else is pointing out what NAN is. Oh wait, although Germanoff is pointing out that the type of the value N8N is a number.
I did not know that.
I mean, I'm willing to conceptually engage with. Emotionally, I want to reject that from the very, very pit of my heart. And Roro's asking, coming back to our discussion about C, Rust is like, oh, is it a little bit like, does C have real strong opinions?
Yeah. Well, I think so.
I love that you're
I
like a
think so.
little bit of fear in your heart, like, oh,
No, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. When I think of C, I think of my high school, of my university days and doing memory leaks because I'm a bad programmer.
I
Um,
mean, what's a good programmer?
Jess, do you know what?
I love
So
your joy. I'm terrified and excited. What is it?
no, like nothing. I definitely no fear here. One of the learners has asked me that, and I think that's something we could do today, is
Yeah.
putting up a website somewhere, like
Like,
say on
yeah.
GitHub Pages or something.
Let's do GitHub pages because we've already taught them. We've already taught them. You love how I'm taking credit for that. Our brilliant and incomparable guest has taught them. And let me find that link. Let me find that link real lazy and real slow because it's Saturday and none of y'all better be stressing out on Saturday either.
Definitely
Let
not
me
here.
find that link from Rizal, who's so smart and interesting. It's unnecessary. I mean, it's entirely necessary. Um, doo, doo, doo. Oh wow, we've done so many streams
Yeah. Oh, the link from the talk from
from
Rizal.
Rizal's. Yeah, when we learned about GitHub.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you find it. I am. What's even lazier than doing something slowly is making somebody smarter and nicer than you do it. So we learned a little bit about GitHub and how Git works, and that's real chill. And we did have a bunch of questions about how can I put my web page up, like for real, not necessarily in the Code Sandbox. Or are we using Code Sandbox? Are we using
I think it was Code Pen.
Code
For
Pen?
yeah.
You could tell which one I tend to reach for in my free time. But GitHub Pages is an environment where we can set that up. Would it be absolutely rubbish to ask you to drive?
No problem. No problem. This is going to be a learning experience. I want to warn everybody in
I've
advance.
not done it either. Um,
It's been too long.
I'm so aggressive about work-life balance that I log out of GitHub on the weekends. And it was one of those things where I was like, well, we can either wait for me to go get my phone and do the, oh, heck, learners, do you know what two-factor authentication is? If you've not heard of it before, it's super cool. It's just, in so much as anything technical is just. Two-factor authentication is when you add another login step. So it could be, hey, you get a text message on your phone and you've got to type in the number, or, oh, you need to use an authentication app. And I use two-factor authentication on pretty much everything because the world is big and scary and bad. But it does sometimes mean folks are like, let's get something up in GitHub. I'd be like, no, I logged out yesterday. I'm good. Atham is asking, what programming language do I know better? Like better than Ramon? Ramon, have you ever written any Perl?
No, never.
I've written like 5 lines of Perl, so so I would in no way call myself better, but having done any of it. Okay, and oh, look at your README. Oh, look how lovely you are.
Hope that size is okay, folks.
Yeah, and this is really nice because this also shows us the minimum viable portfolio page, which is kind of a README.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. So yeah, this is my GitHub profile, and you can have a README in there, and we can post links to that as well. But what we're gonna do today is create a GitHub Pages page.
Yeah. Well, before we jump in, we've got somebody asking, "Oh, hey,
Oh yeah,
I'm studying Oracle Apex." Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I don't need to know anything. But Oracle Apex is a low-code web and mobile application development platform as a service. Cool.
gotcha.
Just for the rest of our learners, I'm going to break this down because this is a lot of tech words next to each other, right? Low code. And a low code system is a system where you can write some code, but it's largely abstracted out even more than it is in our learning sandbox. So a low code solution might be something like, ooh, and it gets kind of wiggly between the idea of no code and low code. So
Mm.
Scratch, the programming interface for children, I think would be a low code one. Yeah. The tool I work for, so I work for N8N, and we're an automation tool. We're a low code automation tool,
Mm.
which means you could write some code if you really want to, but I rarely do. And I'm so sorry that the question here is like, hey, I'm studying Oracle Apex, which is a low code web and mobile application plus. Do I still need to learn JavaScript? I'm so sorry that I really couldn't tell you. The answer that I would get would be me looking it up on DuckDuckGo. I'm not familiar with Oracle Apex at all. I might look
Nah,
this up
same
on it.
here.
Um,
No, I'm afraid that's not my
yeah, I'm
area of
not
knowledge as well.
sure. Web-based integration. Oh no, I'm going to be looking at documentation. I will be looking at documentation. Maybe.
I mean, it depends on. I guess if I may, it would depend also on whether it's something you want to do, if you want to sort of strengthen your understanding. Again, I'm not very familiar with Oracle Apex, but if it helps to understand, for example, how the syntax works, how the concepts of logic for helping your skills in no code or low code.
I think you might want some JavaScript just looking at this. So it's
Okay.
stuff like managing session state values. Oh. All of this looks like SQL to me, not JavaScript. Oh, wow. I am not emotionally prepared for what's going on here. I can't say anything bad about Oracle because if you pick on Oracle at all, they send somebody to your house to see you and break your arms. Haha, that's a joke. That's a joke. Please don't come to my house. But I'm looking at this documentation with a robust amount of fear in my heart. I don't know what's going on here. It looks pretty SQL-y, and I'm not seeing. I'm going to drop this into the chat in case anybody else wants the docs. So here's the documentation for Apex. I'm not seeing anything that looks JavaScripty on a quick click around, but I'm seeing a lot of SQL adjacent stuff. So my answer, which is not an answer, is I'd poke around in the documentation and see if you see any syntax that feels like JavaScript. That'll be stuff with the curly braces and the smooth braces. Yeah, it's a terrible answer to say. See if you feel anything JavaScripty. And we've got one more question before we go into this. And we've got this before, so I'm going to make Ramon answer because I'm the worst. Ramon, what's a front-end development language?
Right. These are languages that you would write to that you would use to write applications that run in a front end. And so that goes into like what a front end is.
Yeah.
And a front end is going to be sometimes these are called clients to existing services. These are, for example, applications on your phone, applications on your computer, applications on the web that interact with a backend that is a server running on the internet. Say, for example, oh no, I'm blanking. Say a social network, right? With a social network, you've got your front end that is the website where you can write your posts or post your pictures and all that, and the back end is where stuff is stored, where all of your user credentials are managed, where the photos are stored and all that. And depending on the platform, these will have different languages. These will be written in different languages. For example, iOS apps are written in something called Swift. Languages that are affront to developers. Thank you, Platypus. Right, iOS apps are written in Swift. Android apps are written in Java or Kotlin. Web applications are normally written in JavaScript or TypeScript or something else that compiles to JavaScript.
I'm going to say the exact same thing you did, but in fewer words. So it sounds like front-end languages are going to be the languages that you're writing in that are presenting this sort of user visible
like
stuff.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's much
so the
better
ones
choice.
we've learned. And this is cool because like HTML, CSS, definitely front end. JavaScript, sometimes.
Bit of both, yeah.
Oh, it's both. Ooh. Let's make and hit us with questions. Hit us.
Yes.
Go ahead. Y'all can ask any questions you want as we go. But we're going to go ahead and very slowly, very meditatively build a website in GitHub Pages today.
Awesome. Before I get into it, one thing I should have done is print out some documentation. pages.github.com. But if you're curious about making a website in GitHub Pages, check out pages.github.com. I just posted it in the chat, and that'll give you everything you need to get started. But we'll also do one here, just super
Everything's
super
fine.
mellow.
It's just word puzzles. They can't hurt us. While you're getting that us, Debjit is asking, can I ask about Netlify serverless? And like,
I've put up websites on Netlify, but I've never used Netlify serverless, I'm afraid.
So you can ask about it, but I'm so sorry we don't. Netlify has fantastic documentation. And if I'm not going to say bother, their people are real active on Twitter. So like you can go.
Yeah.
And I'm going to regret saying this, but DevRel folks, we kind of like very, very friendly, community focused, helpy people. Like, yeah.
Okay.
I'd start with their documentation before chasing one of those.
Totally.
Oh, what is
Totally.
this? New repository, new project?
Yeah. We're going to make a new repository on GitHub, and it's going to be a sort of magical repository because it turns out you can, if if you have an account on GitHub, you've got a username most likely. For example, mine is Ramon H. And what you can do is you can have, you can open up a new repository called Ramon H. Dot
Oh,
GitHub. What? Did I do something bad?
no. That was just so as soon as you put Ramon H, our little cat came up to give us a message about what was going on.
Ramon H.
Ooh.
Ramon. Oh, look at that little animation. It's a special repository that you can use to add a README to your GitHub profile.
And that's
That's
what you've
how.
done already.
Yes, exactly. So, and you can see here the repository Ramon H already exists on this account. So what we want to do is actually create one called ramonh.github.io.
Okay.
And this one here is going to turn into a special URL that is going to be available for me to be able to put up any old website I like.
How exciting. So I'm just going to type this into the chat to make a GitHub
Thank you.
Pages account. Does it have to be your username?
Yes. So your username.github.io. At least that's how I know it.
Oh, chill. Everything's fine. Let's go ahead and make one. And I guess it's by definition needs to be public, right?
Absolutely.
So
let's
for folks who haven't made a GitHub repo before, we're making effectively a folder with some files. And this is going to be a special one that'll be a website. And public means, well, anyone on the internet can see it. And private means, no, that's secret.
It's just for me. Exactly.
And that's it. I mean, a private website is probably not going to be fantastic. While you're doing that, Sammy's saying, should I jump right into React or sort of vibe with vanilla JavaScript? That's an opinion question, my lovely. I would lovingly and gently, because I'm a mean person and very opinionated, I'd have you chill out with vanilla JavaScript and deepen your confidence. And I don't even say skill because I've seen you asking fantastic questions in here, Sammy. But I always like to encourage people to feel steadier on their feet with vanilla. But if you've got like potential employers saying, "Where's your React?" You can do that.
Yeah, I think there's no wrong way to go about it, but definitely the more comfortable you are in vanilla JavaScript, the more comfortable you're going to be when you run into weird little React quirks.
Well, Carlos is saying, "Hey, what if I made a page on GitHub that links to my other page on GitHub?" I think we would do this with just plain old links, wouldn't we?
That's what I would think. Yeah.
Heck yeah. Oh yeah. So like Carlos means like, what if I've got a portfolio, but then I want to link to other projects? I think we can embed those with like plain old links and like little preview links. We got that. We'll do that. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Let's add a file, shall we?
Yay.
So
I think I can. So this is going to be our HTML file.
Correct. And here's what's totally cool, and I kind of jumped the gun on, so I hope I didn't go too fast. Let me cancel real quick. In GitHub, you can add a file, create new file,
or upload it if we've written that in like in the text editor of your choice. I'm going to be really, really mean to our learners and assume that this follows the same convention as most websites. And I'm going to make them tell us, what would we name our HTML file, please?
Yeah.
So the learners have to tell us, because I'm mean. What would we name our HTML file? And for bonus points, what are we going to name our CSS file?
Cool. I like it.
And Judy's asking, hey, are we going to do a front-end libraries bootcamp after this? Judy, I'm so sorry to leave you hanging. The bootcamps are amazing. They're the best things we get to do. But there's like 15,000 of y'all. We love you. We're going to take just a week or two off and rest and then start planning for the next ones. So I can't tell you with durable confidence what we're going to focus on next. But we do want to make sure that we cover front-end libraries at some point this year, if that's not cheating. Yeah, I'm so sorry. We'll know more soon. We'll announce that on Class Central. We'll announce Starlight is just after my own heart. Was like WebAssembly. No, we're not. No, 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 no. Don't. Technically correct is the best kind of correct. We're not playing with WebAssembly yet. Although, Ramon, did you just get a brand new job where you work with WebAssembly and you all are running a meetup about WebAssembly topics?
Oh yeah, actually. Exactly. Yeah. My new day job is in WebAssembly, and I know very little. I'm learning a lot. It's gonna be great. We get to
But
see
if
me
you
more
want to
of me
drop the
bumbling
link to
around.
the meetup in here, that's super chill because we've got folks who are like, yeah, Judy is correct and wonderful and perfect and is saying, come on, y'all, stop faffing about. Make an index.html. And Judy's already like, and y'all already know that when you're going to do the CSS, it's going to be style or styles, both are chill, .css. Catherine is rightly and justly asking, what's a WebAssembly?
Ooh. Okay. I'm gonna try and answer this. Here we go.
I'm laughing because I'm sort of like, yes, it's a web that is assembled.
It is. Oh, I can't believe this is getting recorded. Here we go. Um, it is a runtime, a low level framework on that runs in JavaScript, that runs on your browser, that can be compiled down to from other programming languages. So essentially, you can write C, you could write Rust, you could write Ruby, that compiles down to WebAssembly, which is a runtime running in your browser.
And I'm going to explain this in a different way that's very,
Please.
very likely wrong. So if you're a new learner to tech, I don't think you need to learn about WebAssembly yet. WebAssembly is about writing things in different languages. It's about how those are run. So it's sort of about the execution and having those come into the web. And you might be thinking, why would I do this? And cool, be cool. I'm not smack talking your job. This is often done, and I think it was originally developed to deal with performance issues. So if you're doing very big, very complicated, very fancy things on the web, maybe you want to do WebAssembly too, write in these really performant languages and then execute them using WebAssembly. That's okay. We've got a question about what this Twitter link is. I think it's going to be a link to. Oh gosh, I
Uh,
was trying to click on it too. Is that a link
it's
to the
to the meetup that we're doing next Tuesday for
Yeah, so
my
if
for
you're
my yeah.
super interested in WebAssembly and already know what it is and already care, you can go to a meetup with Ramon next week. But there's no pressure.
Absolutely not. Nothing to
And
do with the boot camp. It's more like, yeah.
yeah.
I want to highlight this. Catherine says, mainly, I like Jess's explanation better, mainly because she said I don't need to worry about it. And that's
Not yet.
absolutely true.
Yeah, like if you get
Absolutely.
to the point where you're like, "Yeah, I'm consistently finding that I'm not getting the performance out of JavaScript I want." You're probably like me and you're writing kind of woofy JavaScript, so, like, respect. But if you're like, "Oh, I'm doing this incredibly complicated thing on the web where I'm running a bunch of, like, weird," maybe it's time to start thinking about WebAssembly. Atham is asking a super easy question. Who
Ooh.
is the founder of Class Central? That's going to be Mr. DeWall Shaw. He is the calmest man in technology and hopefully asleep right now because he's in San Francisco. He's
Ooh.
just a lovely chap. You know what? His whole team are really nice. You know what?
So
Starlight's trying to make us even more sad, but we're like, oh, let's talk about server-side HTML. We will preview to the learners that that exists and was briefly in larger fashion than it is now.
I would love to highlight something that Debjit said, if I
Yeah.
may. He says, just press the full stop and it will open VS Code inside your browser to edit this repo. Have you ever seen this, Jess?
No.
I would love to preview it for folks.
Where's
So
this full stop? Do it, do it.
on my
Got
keyboard, so
very aggressive. On your keyboard, there's no full.
if I press the full stop on my keyboard,
Yeah.
and what's going to happen is I
Shut
can
up.
edit
Shut
files.
up.
Look at that.
So we could write our website in here and
Yes.
give people the example of, is it okay if we go ahead and do it in the GitHub GUI just so there's not the extra steps?
Sure.
That is, I had literally had no idea about this.
Totally.
So we're going to do it here just so that there's not extra steps for learners trying to do this at home. But should we come back and do this another time, we might do it with that, because what a fun trip. We've got a incredibly important question. Ramon.
Yes.
Is the large bear behind you haunted?
No.
No,
No.
no,
You're a
he's just tired.
sweetheart.
So Maria's saying, where'd you type that full stop that they tried it in the editor? So I think it was just on the main repo page.
Yeah. So if you go to your main repo and then press the full stop, then it'll do that magical
That magic thing. But if you're in an editor, I think it'll just show you a full stop. Like it'll just type a full stop. Yeah. All right, hang on. Index.html. Go, go, go,
Yes.
go.
Yes.
You like how
So
bossy I am when I'm not typing. Index. Haha. All right, my loves. What is the
let's
first
do it.
thing we need to actually, no. Let's all chill. Let's all chill. Beloved, wonderful learners, please give us some of the structure. You don't have to like type out the code, but tell us what kind of stuff needs to go here.
Yeah.
I bet money y'all know exactly what you need to do at the start of this, because it's like coming into a room and announcing that you're going to be ordering pizza. Yeah, we need to announce what kind of document this is. While we're waiting for you all to tell us what kind of structural pieces go onto this website, Rashida is saying, hey, what's different between being a software developer and being a software engineer? I think it's the same thing. Like it's the same job with different job titles. Look at Carlos. Carlos is so Rashida, I think these are the same jobs, but just with different titles. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's any difference. Carlos is like, doc time. And then you need to get your HTML. You need to get your root. Then you need a head. Then you need a body. Then you need a main.
Oh my goodness.
This is the it's a space and then a lowercase. Oh, and there's a exclamation point before the doc type, isn't there?
Thank you.
Yeah, because it doesn't give you the little light up bits, which is a little bit brutal. VS Code would have given us syntax highlighting.
HTML head,
then
close head, and then body. Whoopsie.
I like the question mark there. I'll be like, body? Does that feel all right for folks?
I'd say so far so good. At least.
What kind of stuff do we tend to put in the head?
Yeah.
Ooh, so I know that you haven't been having to do the like you've been doing stuff on the JavaScript side, which often feels much harder if you ignore CSS existing. Can you add a meta tag in the head? Like first thing in the head, can you add a meta tag that says, yeah, Carlos is saying the meta tag for language? Is it
Yeah.
or it's care set, isn't it?
Oh.
And that's equal to, look, Maria, look at Maria.
Ah, nice. You all know this by heart. It's amazing.
Right?
So smart.
Because when we do the live lessons, I'm just like, ha ha ha, what are we doing? And they're like, how do you not know this? We've done it 12 times. Name viewpoint, the content is equal to. See, I'm mean to him when we do lessons, and I'm like, no, I insist you tell me. The device width, and then the initial scale is 1.0. Yeah, a thumb is like Medicare set. And somebody told us on one of these lessons that the Medicare set needs to be defined within the first 128 bytes of information on your page. Oh, so we can name this after Maria.
Maria's.
Yay, Maria's.
Why not?
Yeah.
And
what else do we have here?
We've got a style sheet here.
Oh, yeah. We haven't made the style sheet, but we do need to link to the style sheet, don't we?
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. And Maria's so on the ball here. It's absolutely unnecessary. Like, can we have a little bit of a gossip about how good and smart and cool Maria is? Because saying, well, it's going to be a style sheet, but we don't have the style sheet yet.
True.
Would it be okay for us to save this and go and make the style sheet so we can put the link in?
Totally. Oh,
yeah, we
and
can set
somebody's saying
HTML language equals to N if we want.
Let's do it. Cool.
And there's a lot of variation. Ooh, I wonder what the default global English. I bet it's American.
Yeah. Okay. Did we want to put one in here? Just a ref in here, or do we leave it?
Let's go make our. Let's save this and then
Yeah.
make our. Oh, this is important. Can you talk to me about what we're doing here?
Yeah. So now that we've made some changes, we're gonna save these as a Git commit. Now, if you remember the guest session with Rizal, a Git commit is a chunk of changes that we're going to log into our repository.
And I know
And
that this is artificial.
yeah.
But here, what we're doing is we're committing it to main. We're saying, hey, I don't need any review. Nobody else needs to be involved. Would it be okay if we made a pull request instead, just to feel what that feels like?
Yes.
Even though it's just us. Yeah. So usually you would make a pull request and another person would go through and say, well, this pull request, okay.
Totally.
Or
I used to many years ago when I would give presentations on how to use Git, I would do this, but I would also go backstage and come out with like a wig and some sunglasses and be my evil twin to sort of like do a review. It was good times.
I
Sorry,
always assumed
completely
you
off
were the
topic.
evil twin because you've got a little mustache.
Yeah.
Oh, can you even imagine if there would be a nicer Ramon out there? Like, no, too much, too much.
So we're going to log this chunk of changes. So first we're going to tell the world what it is that I did in this. I like to write these in the present tense.
Ooh.
So this commit, what it does is create index HTML initial structure.
So who are you writing these for? These are little like post-it notes that get attached to the history.
Yeah, exactly.
So who are these good for?
These are good for folks coming in and like thank you, Catherine.
If Ramon was any sweeter, we'd all get diabetes. Right, right. It's a little bit hard to stomach sometimes. And do you know what's worse about Ramon? The worst thing, he is like this all the time. He doesn't just like get on a stream and he's a sweetie pie. He's genuinely a sweetie pie all the time. It's horrifying. I often say that he's like clearly a witch turned a golden retriever into a human as a curse. Like so unnecessary. And of course, like being a bewitched golden retriever, Ramon's just happy to be here. Like, whoa, I can play ball whenever I want to.
Yeah, so thank you. These so what we're doing here is like we're leaving these for anybody that wants to take a look at what was done in this chunk of changes, right?
And often that's us, right?
Yeah.
So
Or
like
either for ourselves or our team, exactly.
and this gets to be especially useful when something breaks. So you're like, oh, dang, something's, and like, you shouldn't, it is not very polite to swear in these. But often I will break something and I'll keep trying to fix it. And then I'll give up and go back to the last commit file where I wasn't annoyed. So I'm like, well, all of these read is a little bit pissed off. And they say, well, still broken. Rawr, rawr. I'm moving to a farm. And then I'll go back up until the last one where I wasn't mad. I think rawr is a bad commit message, isn't it?
Well, they ideally need to be they ideally need to convey. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've done this. The number of commits that I have that are just called "do the thing" are innumerable.
We're teaching best practices, though, not how our past selves have comported themselves.
Absolutely. So, absolutely, it makes sense to be as be descriptive, not exhaustive, but concise. Ideally, people say that these should be about 80 characters long. And I think that has to do with the size of terminal widths, which come from typewriter widths, if I'm not mistaken.
Do you know what? Last boot camp, we had Scott Hanselman come and talk to us about what programming got from typewriters.
Oh, yeah?
Let me see if I can't find that. It was really good. I mean, all of these are real good.
But yeah, so while you do that, I'm going to just quickly go ahead here. So we've I've created a commit. You can optionally add more of a description if you need to be more, if you want to be more verbose with what you're saying. But I'm fine with leaving this create index HTML initial structure. I think that's clear. You can associate an email address with your commit if you want. However, I'm going to leave it with my regular email address. And then we've got these two options here: commit directly to the main branch, or create a new branch for this commit and start a pull request.
We definitely need to talk about this a minute.
Yeah.
So right now, there's the project. And branches are about creating either a temporary or a longer, but they're about creating a temporary mirror, really, of the project.
Yeah.
And that's where you do some changes and then send those changes back. And I like this branch thing because it's like trees are very relaxing, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So you're sort of working on the side. So even though the main branch is getting stuff on it from your team, you can work on the side, sort of encapsulate it for yourself. And then when you're ready, you can create what's called a pull request to say like, hey, make sure that this can go back on the main branch.
And that always feels weird to me because it feels more like I'm pushing you my work than requesting that you pull it from my branch. Oof, lots of
Yeah.
woof. But push means something else, and I have lost this battle.
So let's do that. Let's create a new branch and start a pull request. And here what's cool is it automatically suggests a name for us, Ramon patch 1, which is cool and all. But I like my branch names, and these are meant to be like, you see that they normally have that dash case, and we want to keep it like that. So
Yeah.
let's try and be a little bit descriptive here too. Let's say initial HTML structure.
Oh, so that we're getting the it really feels almost like the practice of embedding semantic context into a web page.
Absolutely.
So we're giving ourselves a lot of context clues for what was going on here.
Exactly. And then I'm going to go ahead and propose a new file. So let's do that.
And this is going to be weird because, so here you can leave a message saying.
So we're going to open a pull request. We haven't opened anything yet. The change you just made was written to a new branch called initial HTML structure. Create a new pull request below to propose these changes. So I'm about to propose these changes to the maintainers of this project, which in our example is ourselves, but let's pretend that I am two separate people in this case. So
I'll let you write this message while we answer this question at the same time. Oh, should we have our own web pages display our projects or keep them on Github? So the perfect is the enemy of the good here, I think. If you have your portfolio project as a GitHub Pages, that is super chill and it doesn't bother me at all. If you have your portfolio website and it's not on GitHub Pages, it's somewhere else on the web, that's super chill as well. I'd say I'd quite like you to have a portfolio page of some kind, but if you want to do it like this as GitHub Pages, that is completely meditatively good. Oh no. Oh no. See, this is why we're taking a little bit of a break before planning the next boot camp.
Oh, this is a note that's going to be left for the maintainers of the project to take a look at when they will review the changes that I'm proposing. So I kept it super simple at getting started with our website. This will create an index.html file and place it in the main folder of the project. Any feedback is super welcome. Thank you. So I will click on create pull request. Still haven't put anything in. I'm just proposing these changes.
Yeah. And this is going to be weird because usually a different person would do this in a project with multiple people. And you might want to do this on your own projects just to get into this flow. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if we come up to pull requests.
Yeah.
Oh, dang. Oh, dang. Ramon, have you left yourself a pull request to review?
I did. Shall we review it?
Yeah.
So when folks are taking a look, they can see there's one commit, right? And
I love this verified, like you're telling yourself, no, I know that guy. He's fine.
Yeah. And we can, by clicking on this button, merge pull request, we can go ahead and merge it. But let's actually review it, shall we? So what we can do here is either take a look at the commits, or this is my favorite tab, the files changed branch tab. And here we can see
I
on
love
the
this.
left, what it used to be before,
Nothing.
and on the right we see what changed. And we can see we added all of this. We can as a reviewer, I'm reviewing this now. I can even leave comments and notes.
Oh yeah, and that's reasonably new, isn't it? The little inline exy baby.
I
Exy baby
love
being
it
a
so
professional
much.
term.
So for example, I could click here, right? And it'll open up a little thing here, and then I can add a comment and say like that we're including a language specification. Thumbs up.
And this really implies how delightful it is to work with Ramon, isn't it?
um
So here we can add a single comment, and this is a compliment, so I'd probably just add it as a comment.
Yep.
If something was broken or if something needed doing, I'd probably start a review, which is, well, we need a proper review because if we do this, I'm trying to think of a comedic type of error. If we do this, it will release all of the alligators from their pens.
Exactly.
So if it's something you have to deal with, probably a review. If it's just something nice, a little comment.
Totally.
You're very patient and very good in showing this off in wonderful detail. I want to push command. I want to, yeah, do it.
So finally, you can then either leave a comment and say, this looks great, I approve it. So here's where we run into a problem with our example. Pull request authors can't approve their own pull request, but normally you definitely would if it's from somebody else.
Yeah.
So let's leave it as a comment and pretend it's approved. Great work.
Oh, you know what? We can add, I can, let me see if I can log into GitHub real fast. I'm being lazy. Should I review you?
Oh, please. Here, I'll send you a link in the private chat.
Oh, do you have to make me a contributor?
I don't know.
Because right now I want to, yeah. So it kind of feels like, I think you probably have to make me a contributor. Oh gosh, and I probably.
I could do that. Can we show folks how to do that?
Oh, wait, no, I had a problem with StreamYard, not window sharing last time, didn't I? Honestly, computers were a mistake. Give me just a second and I'll see if I can fix this. Two-factor authentication.
Very good.
Mumble. You all are very patient with me just muttering to myself darkly.
All fine.
So.
I think I can add you as
Hey!
Nice.
So, here's the deal. Ramon's got a project. Am I allowed to approve? I am not allowed to approve this, I don't think.
I'm about to invite you to be a collaborator.
Ooh. So now, should we pretend that I'm Ramon's coworker? Ramon's boss? I'm Ramon's boss,
yeah. I just sent you an invite, Jess.
Fabulous. Oh gosh, I actually need to, excuse me for a moment. I need to be logged in, don't I? Why is everything? Oh, there we go. There we go again. You all are very patient. It's weird that the most technically challenging part of this is getting streaming to work properly. Okay, so this is exactly what we saw before, but I'm me. I'm not Ramon.
Would you mind making it just a touch bigger?
Yeah.
Jess, please.
Boop, boop.
Perfect. Thank you.
Hey, I would like here, Ramon saying, I want you to be on this project.
Yeah.
And I could say, cool. If somebody you've never heard of is randomly inviting to a project you've never heard of, that's probably not good. But if one of your friends is like, hey, here's a project, or somebody's mentioned a project, yeah, that's probably fine. So here, same thing. I'm Ramon's coworker. I've been off doing something else. I have no idea what's going on here, except, oh, the pull request, the commit message, create index.html file. That makes sense to me. Here's a really good note. We'll get started, create an index, place it in the main folder. Any feedback, super welcome. And here I see that Ramon left a nice message for himself.
Oh, I think you gotta scroll down.
We're
going
to
to
scroll down.
please.
I'm going to say, isn't this so nice? This is probably not how we would usually talk on a project because this is a bit fluffy. And I'm going to take a look just like Ramon did. I hope this isn't too boring. We've got the exact same stuff, and I can see what the code looks like. We got our doc type. Nothing looks malicious. Nothing looks bad. I'm going to review our changes. I could leave a comment again, say, oh, wow, Ramon, aren't you so good? I'm just going to approve it.
Wonderful.
And great work. Are we going to add the CSS file next? And as soon as I submit this review, we see that our pull request up at the top is closed. So pull requests can be open or closed. When it was opened, it was saying, hey, I've got this thing that needs to be approved or get feedback on. And now it says, this is closed. It's not a big deal. And now when we come onto our code, it's not empty anymore. Oh.
I think we need to merge it first.
Oh, gosh, I'm a goof.
I also left you a response.
Oh, it's going to be in here. No, stop it. We can't just go back and forth and be nice to each other all day. Where do I merge the changes? So
if you scroll down.
All the way down. Oh, yes. I always forget that there's an extra step. So I've approved the pull request that says, yeah, I'm okay with this code, but we've got to take this branch and we've got to squish it and squish the changes back into our main branch.
Yeah.
Squish the branch back into the main branch is obviously a highly technical term. We can merge our pull request, confirm the merge.
Here we go.
And what's weird here is our branch, our temporary branch that we made, is gone now.
Not yet. If
it's
you
not gone.
Just a touch. Like this is a configuration you can put on your GitHub.
Ha ha ha.
Exactly.
Okay. So all of the changes on this branch are gone. Can I kill it?
Yeah. So what you've done is you've taken all the changes that were on that branch and copied them over to the main branch, and now we've still got this branch. And usually folks call this a dangling branch because it's like not doing anything. So it's just kind of dangling there. So we can just go ahead and delete it.
And the reason we might do this is just to keep things neat and tidy.
Exactly. So go ahead and delete it. And now if you go back to our
pull requests are completely gone now.
Yeah.
Because we could see the closed one if we wanted to, but we don't have anything to do with it. Now when we see our code, we've got our index.html file.
Yeah. And that's a high five right there. We did it. A pat, so, if you will.
Let's trade for a minute because I always make you drive.
Sure. In the meantime, I'd love to answer some questions from folks.
Do it.
Because Maria's asking.
Yeah.
I have a question in the meanwhile. I've finished the JavaScript bootcamp yesterday and followed all the steps we did in the exercises, but I would never figure them out myself. What would be the level required to get a position as a junior front-end dev?
Fabulous. So the first thing I'm going to say is because like applying for work isn't free.
Yeah.
Like applying for a job carries a time cost and an emotional cost. But I always encourage people to apply for jobs before you think you're ready. If you've got sort of that space in your heart to take these, and you're going to get a bunch of rejections, my love, I'm so sorry. Make someone else tell you no. You are so brilliant and so hardworking and so interesting, even though you don't feel ready. And we could talk about this in a minute, talk about framing what feels like weaknesses as strengths, because y'all are sweetie pies and you don't want to lie. But if I was talking to Ramon about a job with his company, I said, oh, hey, I don't really know anything about WASM and I don't know what it does. That's not how I'm going to say that. I'm saying, oh, hey, you know what? I've worked with web technologies for a little bit. I finished a boot camp in this space and I'm really interested in learning more. I've got a really fundamental understanding of what WASM does and why it might be useful on the web. The reason I'm applying for this job is I'm interested in learning more. Can you talk to me about your understanding of the WASM ecosystem and what it does? So you are fantastic. You're ready to apply now. You may find out that employers, they often want to see some framework experience. So you may want to come back and do the frameworks one, but apply now, make them tell you no. And I want to come back to I don't think I could have done these tutorial things on my own. Because Ramon is too sweet. He's too nice, but I'm going to be mean to you. Not specifically to you, Maria. I'm going to be mean to all of you at once. That's okay. And the way I'm going to be mean is saying, I don't even care. Of course, it feels weird when you say, oh, I don't think I could have done this without the tutorial. That's fine. You're in a tutorial space. You're a learner. It's okay. I said, oh, I couldn't have done this without help. That's okay. I can't. Y'all have seen that I can't do a dang thing without help. I might very softly and very lovingly suggest trying a couple projects that aren't in your tutorial. So they could be things like, oh, I want to make like Ramon and I want to make something that automatically updates on our website. I want to take a weather API and learn how to use this API so that my website can display the local weather. So try real stripped down project. And you could look at other tutorials for ideas for these projects. But that's a really, really good way to feel a bit more steady on this. Thanks
Jess, that's
for
wonderful.
letting me be real mean to you.
No, that's super kind. Thank you, Jess. And I wanted to add something to what Maria was saying, because you were saying, I still think it would be hard to figure out all the logic by myself, even if I can do it with Ramon's guidance. And I want to add, like, when I do these projects, I get stuck too. Y'all have seen me stuck. It happens. I struggle. I sweat. I panic. This is my way of reacting to it. But I think when I come, for example, to do the boot camps, do bear in mind that I try my best to prepare a solution that can be digested in an hour, but it doesn't showcase the time that I spent, for example, working on that solution. I hope that makes sense.
Even though I look like I have no idea what I'm doing, I always go through these lessons before I join you all. So even though we're like, well, here's what's going, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Here I'm creating my styles.css.
Oh, nice.
I've gone ahead just because most of y'all who've been in the web development bootcamp have seen this a bunch, and I see some other good questions. We'll get to that in just one second, my love. I promise. So here we're making our CSS file, styles.css, and I've gone ahead and just set a background color just so we've got an idea what's going on.
Wonderful.
I don't think this is going to work yet.
Why not?
Because we don't have a main element in our page.
Oh. In the meantime, I also want to answer this question.
Yeah.
That says, could there be a reason to not remove that empty branch?
If it's part of a feature that's still being worked on, and maybe I'm going to create a new, I'm going to start a new snippet of code. I'm going to start a new pull request on that same branch. Ramon's a much better dev than I am, and lots of times my branch will just be called Jess's working branch. And obviously the way Ramon does it has much more semantic meaning, where you're like, oh, this branch did this and this branch did this. And for me, I'm just like, this is my branch. This is where I live. Which is not how you should necessarily do things, but is how many developers do them.
And I mean, it varies from project to project and teamwork to teamwork as well. So it totally depends on that.
I'm going to create a new branch and pass this back to Ramon. Look, see, Jessica Rose Patch one. I would totally go with that branch name. That's very me. Make CSS and main blue.
Perfect.
Create styles.css. Oh, heck.
Oh, it's fewer than 50 characters. My goodness. Nice.
Propose a new file. And this is going to look exactly like what we just saw.
Yep.
Hey, Ramon.
Don't worry, Jess.
No, spelling people's names right is right. Hey, Ramon. This won't, and that's something huge to flag. So, like, this won't work yet.
Yeah.
This won't work yet because we don't have a main element, but we should add it next. And now I can assign somebody. I can tell
Ooh.
somebody what to do.
And what does that mean to assign?
Oh, so this is me saying, so this will alert you, won't it? Will you say, bing? You'll get a little notification in your corner. Or I could set you as the reviewer. And that kind of feels like the same thing here. Oh, look at the joy from learning next year. Labels, we could set a label. Yeah,
Wonderful.
cool. I'm going to create a pull request. Everything's going to be fine. And then we're going to trade off while Ramon's taking back control of the screen, which I think you could do just by sharing yours. Let's
Yep.
answer a couple of these real fast. So Letitia's saying, hey, when's the next boot camp? I'm so sorry that we're going to take a week or two off and rest a little bit, and then we're going to get into the planning. I'd be really surprised if we ran another boot camp before the summer. Yeah, just because we want to go through and we want to make sure that we're doing a really thorough recap of what worked and what didn't. We want to make sure the pacing's okay. And the thing, I hope I'm not pushing this on y'all, but any feedback you have would be really useful. I think one thing I'd quite like to do is put together a learner survey so y'all can yell at us and say, we wanted longer sessions or more and this is the great chance to be like, y'all, let's argue about timing. Carlos is pointing out, hey, you know what? If Jess and Ramon don't hop too at great speed, the Odin project is fantastic. And 100 Devs is another freak bootcamp one that works really well in this space. Yoon is saying, what's Bootstrap? Bootstrap
Ooh.
is a framework for HTML and CSS that lets you use pre-built snippets to work more quickly. Obviously, we're happy if you use it, but as a meanie, I want you to get comfortable with plain old HTML and plain old CSS before you use it, just so you get an idea of what you're writing. And here's Ramon. He's reviewing the changes.
Sorry.
Look at this. I mean, and he's going to approve it right away. He says, I don't have any notes. Jess, you're perfect, even though it doesn't work.
So I can
Just
submit
submit the
my
review.
review. So we can see it's approved now. I'm going to go ahead and click on merge pull request. I can go ahead and confirm that merge. And then, since again, we're not going to need this branch anymore, I'm going to go ahead and delete it. The changes from Jess are already in the main branch. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that branch.
Do you know
And
what? We've
that's
got a
done.
question that's super relevant as well.
Oh,
If it's
yeah?
okay to be bossy, I'd love to get any kind of text on our website and get the background showing just so we can show that this is a deployed website. But then we've
Sure.
got somebody saying, well, you know what? How would we add our JavaScript to this? And I want to see if we can add a JavaScript file to this
Cool.
just so we're getting the practices.
Yeah, let's do it.
Just so we're getting that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add a little bit of text to this website to show that this is a working website.
Let's do it.
Can you add main so it's blue?
Yep. So I will, yeah, totally. I will go ahead and click on edit this file.
And this is probably a little bit unusual. You usually don't do a lot of editing in the like actual writing code in the little GitHub GUI.
These are
I
more
mean,
for
other
like,
people don't. I do. I'm very lazy.
I've actually lately been doing a lot.
It's good for streaming.
Yeah. So we're going to add an H1.
Remembering for folks who don't write a lot of HTML that that's not about the size of the heading. That's that this is the most important one.
Exactly. So we will be,
It says anything. We could say this is a website. This can say, yeah.
this is a website.
So now when we look at the preview, I think we should see a couple of different things happen. Oh, wait.
Oh,
I'm going to make
sorry.
the learners tell me what. So earlier we saw nothing in the preview. What like I think we're going to see two big changes in the preview. What are they? And actually, will the preview changes show us the live preview of the HTML file, or will it just show us the
No,
pluses and
just
minuses?
yeah.
Ooh, so what do we think is going to change? Yeah.
Ooh. While folks are answering, I got a question here from Malik that I'd love to
Yeah.
cover. Is there a need to remember Bootstrap classes for developers? And I want to come out and say no, 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 absolutely not. So in the time that I've been working with Bootstrap, there have been 3 bootstraps. There's been Bootstrap 3, Bootstrap 4, Bootstrap 5, and I think there's a 6 coming. I could be wrong. And they've changed stuff every time. No, the thing that I remember is what to look up in there, or what the name, I think it's getbootstrap.com. That URL is ingrained because
I'm such a fuss. I tend to not work with Bootstrap at all, where I'm just like, I'm mumble years old. Just let me write HTML. And I'll cheat. So here we will see the text. This is a website. But I
Yeah.
think it's also going to, oh, wait. It's not going to be blue. Why won't we get a blue background?
Wouldn't it? We've got a
No.
main HTML element.
Check out line 7.
Line 7. Oh, good call.
Because
Yeah.
remember we said, hey, you're going to want to head back into the edit file tab. Otherwise, you won't be able to type and it'll just annoy you. Because remember we said, oh, we don't know what our CSS file is going to be called, even though we probably know it's going to be called style or styles.
Is it style or styles?
I think we did styles this time because I always do styles. Sorry.
All good. All good.
And now it should be able to grab the right file for CSS. And now it should be blue because we've added a main element to be blue.
Cool. Let's do that.
And we're going to go real fast through the commit and review process this time, y'all.
Excellent. Do we want to make it a pull request again?
Yeah. Let's get into the flow. And this lets me pretend I'm the boss of you.
Add title to website, including its CSS.
Yeah.
Say add title, add blue background title. Oh, propose changes.
And do you know what? This is just a couple lines of code. Oh, is it me?
I'm going to request a review from Jess. And I'm going to say this uses this integrates.
Integrates, very fancy.
That I can use at Jess.
Oh, you can tell that I showed up early when GitHub came out, where I was like, I'd like my first name and last name. Thank you very much. It means I can never change my name.
Yeah. Same here. Ramon H. That just
I mean, like, why would your name is so cute and good?
You're too kind, Jess. That Jessica Rose kindly contributed. This is good.
I love that this is just like an artificial pull request. You're like, well, we're just doing it to learn, but I'm still going to be over the top nice.
Oh, I mean, this has to be realistic.
So we're going
create
to
our
trade
pull
off
request.
again, but I'm going to go super, super fast. Yeah.
Sounds good. Do you want to share your review?
Let's go.
Nice.
Let's go. We're going to take a look at the pull requests. Oh, and here I've got an alert saying, oh, here's a review requested. So that's what it does when it let me look at the code. And here, I love this, where we see the red and green to see what's changed. Here. Okay, well, we've added the link to the style sheet, and we've added the main. Cool. Review changes. Looks good to me. And this is the kind of review I more generally do, where I'm just like, no notes, perfect, it all works, everything's fine. I'm going to submit the review. It's because I'm less nice than Ramon. I'm going to merge the pull request. I'm going to confirm the merge. And I'm not even changing these because this is a little time. And these are the kinds of ways you want to update this and say, I'm making a very small change. Here, we don't quite do it because ideally you just want to change one thing at a time. We did 2. Ooh. But here, if we come back, our pull requests are all closed, 3 of them
Mhm.
closed, and come to our code. Is there a way we can preview this? Because it kind of feels like,
Well,
oh,
well,
is
well,
it?
well. So do you see that yellow circle? Oh,
Oh,
sorry. Could you go back to the GitHub real quick?
yep.
You see that yellow circle next to 41 seconds ago?
Yeah.
What's going what's going on here is that because we've made this a GitHub Pages URL, a repository, sorry, GitHub automatically sets it up so that when we make changes, it rebuilds the website.
Oh, cool. So this yellow is kind of a stoplight thing where it's like, look, I'm doing some complicated engineering work behind the
Yep.
scenes. Until this turns green, you just need to chill.
Do you want to give it a refresh maybe?
Yeah. You'd be like, come on, computer. I gotta check.
Okay,
I gotta
we got to
check.
check. That's good.
So now I should be able to go to ramonh.github.io.
Yes. I hope.
Hmm.
So we don't see anything yet.
I see blue.
There is blue.
I see a little
Wait,
blue border.
maybe give it a hard refresh, Jess? Because
I
hey, nice. Cool.
So technically, this is a bad website, but our website is working.
I think it's wonderful. I mean, the color contrast could use some work.
The color contrast isn't great. It's not like if I sent this in as a portfolio website, somebody would be like, Jess, absolutely not. What are you doing? Let's go ahead and show just really quickly how we would build out a JavaScript file
Yeah.
if we wanted to attach JavaScript to this. And I think we had an example a couple weeks ago of building some JavaScript that changed
Shows
the date in the footer.
yeah.
So the first thing, so Maria's asking, what's the URL here? And the URL here is ramonh.github.io. So if you grab that, yeah, so it's the name of the repository that we set up in the beginning. So I'm going to do a couple changes really fast, which is very bad, and you should do as I do and not as I say. So the contrast is not good. I'm going to change the background color to pink.
Good call.
And because I'm in a hurry and because I'm the worst, I'm going to commit a crime. Y'all want to see a crime? I'm going to commit this directly to main. No one can stop me.
Apparently they can.
Commit changes. What? Yeah. Jessica Rose is committed since you started editing. See what changed. Because you get that warning where it says, just did that thing you're not supposed to do, but she did it
Oh
anyway.
no, there we go. There we go. Yeah,
And
now
I
it should be
did,
good.
and I'm not ashamed. So I changed it to pink just to get the background color a little easier.
We can see it's building here by the yellow
Yeah.
circle.
But we're going to keep going because one other
Yeah.
thing we're going to do, and I'm going to do it without a pull request because is I'm going to also add a footer. Wait, does the footer go inside of main?
It goes inside the body. Right now you're writing it outside the body.
Oh.
Yep. There we go. So
Footer.
I think semantically, if it were, say, an article, you wouldn't want the footer in the main, right?
Yeah.
So I think it makes sense to put it outside the main.
And we're not even going to do copyright. We're going to say today is.
Love it.
And what do we put here?
I would.
It's a script tag, isn't it?
Because
we're going to go ahead and do this with JavaScript, aren't we?
Yes. What I would do is do it with a span, actually.
Okay, so let's put it inside our main then, just so everything's pink.
Sure.
And this is kind of.
Sorry, no, I meant the part with the date would be inside a span.
Oh, it'd be inside a span. You want to leave it in the footer?
Yeah, let's leave it in the footer. Sorry, I didn't mean to throw you off, Jess.
I mean, I've been goofy my whole life. You can't throw me off.
So we're gonna have, just like you had it before, today is, oh yeah, thanks for visiting us, on, and then exactly inside a span. And
I don't need to say script?
Script we'll put in after the footer.
Okay.
Yeah. But the first thing we'll need here is some way to get to that span. We need some kind of either class or ID so that with the JavaScript we can say, hey, change the content inside here.
Ooh, nice. And we're going to set that to an empty string for now, aren't we? Oh, wait, not the
The
ID.
the ID is the span is going to be empty, but the ID we want to have something that makes sense.
camel case.
No, with dashes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's what's going on here. I've got a footer starting. It says, thanks for visiting us on. And then we've got that space. And then we've got a span with the ID of today's date. Cool.
Perfect.
Oh, Carlos says date or current date would probably be better. Yeah. You're not wrong, but I refuse. This feels okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to commit changes. Added span for JavaScript date.
Ooh, I want to answer Bhavan's question, if I may. When do you use a class or an ID?
Oh, dang. Yeah, do it.
So I would use a class. Well, this is my perhaps very wrong rule of thumb. But when there's just one of them, there's one element that I want to work with, and I need just that one, and I want to be very specific. ID being an identifier for the one, then I use ID. If I've got, let's say lots of buttons or something that I want to, or lots of rows in a table where I want to put the current date, then I would use a class.
I would completely agree though. Like if there's just one and I need for there to just be one, that's an ID's job. Otherwise, I always think of a class as like putting together a club. There can be a club with one person. Or you can have multiple elements in a club, and that way you can set the rules for them all at once. So I've gone ahead and I've committed that to main because I'm a monster. Ramon, shall I throw it back to you and make you write the JavaScript?
Sure.
So
Super
while
happy.
Ramon is taking control, remember that we created an HTML file and then we created a CSS file. How do you think we're going to get JavaScript in here? I mean, that's a leading question, isn't it?
Well, there are actually two ways. We could do it with a separate HTML file, but did you know, I'm just going to do this for fun, okay?
Yeah.
Did you know that it's possible to actually write, just like, did you all do inline CSS during the bootcamp?
We didn't. We don't do inline CSS anymore.
Yeah, good. It is possible to do the same with JavaScript, so you can write script, and inside here, I'm just going to show this. This isn't the best practice.
I was going to say, I'd be like, what Ramon is showing you is that it's possible to do this, but you probably shouldn't. But it's good to see it because it's useful for, Java's like, are you writing inline JavaScript? And we are. When I say we, I mean, Ramon is doing this thing that you probably don't want to do. I am most decidedly not.
Exactly. I'm the one doing the bad here, but it is technically possible to do this, though I would recommend writing it in a separate file. So that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. And Catherine makes such a good point. This is to Maria, but to everybody in general saying, do you know what? It's completely rational not to feel like you're able to solve these on you. But, and I often say this to learners as this is going to click. Like if you keep doing it, it'll make sense. And like at some point when you're older, when you grow up in JavaScript experience, it'll click one day, but you just got to keep doing it, and you got to keep doing it in a forgiving way.
Yep.
And Boffin's saying, hey, how would you put inline JavaScript functions? So you would put them between those two script tags, but it's not really best practices to write your JavaScript inline. So here we've got a file called index.js. And even though we just showed you a little bit of a naughty way to do it, be like, oh, if you're just writing one little line of, maybe I'll put it in it. But really, you want it in a separate file, don't you?
Yeah.
I like the gentle shame where you're like, I suppose, yeah.
No, it's the correct. It is a responsible, yeah.
Do you know what? I can't for love or money. Do I have to do anything? Do I have to do it? You're the one typing. Would one have to do anything to set up this JavaScript file?
I don't believe so. We've got our JavaScript. It's going to be run as soon as we load it in our HTML.
Yeah.
And that's the tricky part there. It's going to run as soon as the line in the HTML where it shows up. So we want to be a little bit responsible about this. Either we want to add a callback. Remember from the JavaScript bootcamp, we want to add a callback so that this runs once the document is loaded. So once the whole HTML is loaded, or we put it at the bottom of our body. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So we don't want to load our JavaScript before the footer loads, is really what you're saying. Cool.
Exactly. But let's what we're going to do in this JavaScript is two things. We're going to get a hold of our HTML element with the ID current date. No, today's date. And we're going to change its HTML to have the current date. How does that sound?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's completely chill. Oh, and look at what a good developer Ramon is. Are you adding comments?
Yes. I'm adding
I
comments.
thought you were asking the learners, be like, "Is this cool?" I'd be like, "Yeah, it's cool." I mean,
I'm
I'm out of
asking
coffee,
everybody.
but aside no, I'm not.
Yeah, I when I'm solving problems like this, I like to like scope out with comments what I'm going to do. Get a hold
Yeah.
of the element with the ID today's
Today's
date.
date, yeah. Oh, is
Set
that even what I called that?
I hope so.
Why do you work with me? I'm the worst. It is today date, not even
Today date.
today's.
Thank you, and you are absolutely wonderful,
Honestly.
Jess. Element.
Oh, Carlos is recommending. Well, they're like, oh, dang. You think we might
Ooh.
get that element by ID? I mean, that's. Oh. And then
People
Adraf
are
is like, oh, we might want to set a variable of date. Oh. Yeah, or let date. Ooh. Oh, and Buffett points out you always use comments.
love comments.
See, this is why you're the good teacher.
Jess. We're everyone here is a wonderful teacher.
So you're just like, I'm going to do best practices and I'm going to show you the other way. And I'm just like, Wahahaha. I'm going to commit to main and cuss in my pull requests, my commit messages. In conclusion, it's a very goofus and gallant sort of vibe, which is both very American and before everyone's time. So I'll walk back on that. So we're gonna go get the element that's
Yep.
got the ID of today's date.
And I love what Akraf is suggesting here. So we're going to use the function document.getElement by ID and then date. But we need to work this around a little bit because I think
Yeah.
conceptually this looks like most of what we need. However, I don't know how I feel about using var. This is a variable whose whose definition is not going to change. So I would actually argue for const.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't call this date because it's not a date per se. I would actually call it date element.
Oh.
I'm verbose with like this is all personal opinion. I'm verbose with my variable names, but I think that it's descriptive. It's
It's
the
the whole
date
point
element.
of being a teacher is you get to be like very like, well, here's the way it is. By the way, that's my opinion.
No, I want to be very, very upfront about this. Is my personal opinion. Now we're going to get document, and document is something that's very specific to front end JavaScript. Something we did not see in the bootcamp. It is an object that holds the HTML document.
Wait, hang on. So when I say document, I mean go get this HTML.
It's I think I could be wrong on this, but it's a wrapper around the entire HTML document. Yes,
Cool.
the data object model or DOM.
DOM.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and get the Wikipedia for the data object model because I always have the hardest time with it.
Totally. Thank
Because
you.
it's philosophy again, isn't it?
Yeah.
So let's get the Wikipedia for it, which is beastly. Let's get the MDN for it as well, which is a little bit friendlier.
Love it.
Oh, you know what? They've added a new introduction to the DOM. That's much friendlier. That's what we want. And actually, you know what? No, I was gonna be like, Lay, let's look at it. No, let's jump into this. We could talk about the DOM after we've both been on a vacation. Well, vacation.
Yep.
Because you're moving house.
I'm gonna be moving. Yes.
And I might celebrate by going on an actual vacation. Oh gosh, wait.
Lovely.
Learners, where are you from? And why should I vacation where you're based? I'm not gonna come to your house for snacks, but I always love it when folks sell me places they're in love with.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
I'm probably going to Lisbon.
Wonderful. Yeah. So we've got this, yeah. So we've got this document, and it's got a function available to it called get element by ID. So what?
Inkbirdie is suggesting that I head to Austria. And do you know what I just noticed? I'm really into trains. And it's possible from London to get an express train to Brussels. I quite like Brussels. And do you know what I like even more than trains is sleeper trains. And there's a new
Ooh.
sleeper train from Brussels to Vienna.
From Lisbon? No.
No,
Yes?
no. So this would be, I suppose, going on 2 separate vacations, but I would have to.
You know that you have a home here, Jess.
Oh, Bovan, are you in the UK as well? Like, right. I think I might be just up the way from you because everybody seems to be in London and I'm up in rainy Birmingham. Maria's suggesting I should come to Sweden. Sweden's so nice. Yeah. Hang on. We actually have to do this work instead of daydreaming about vacations and me inviting myself to Ramon's.
Cool. So we've got document.getElementById, and now we're going to pass in that ID as a string, right? And that string, because of my comment, I remember, yeah, the ID is called today date.
Another piece of evidence of your enduring wisdom.
So now we're going to set that element's HTML or inner HTML to be a string representation of today's date. Now we'll take this step by step. First, we're going to, and I'm going to go by the fact that I know this from MDN, and I'm going to leave a comment here. Or inner HTML. This is a change. So
yes.
This is,
sorry, that was a little aggressive.
Oh, all good. This is something that I have here. I'm going to leave it here just in case I ever want to go back and be like, wait, what was that inner HTML stuff about again? Leave that there for myself. Date element dot inner HTML. And I'm going to set that. That's a property of our element. I'm going to set that to be new date. Just like that. So we can see what this code does now. Get a hold of the element, set that element's inner HTML to be a string representation of today's date. And we just pass in that new date.
You gonna do some chaos and commit to main?
I'm gonna do some chaos and commit to main. Add Java. I'm gonna call it JS because we're
like we get it.
Yeah, add JS that sets. Where's my hashtag? Today date to have today's date.
How lovely and chill. Commit new file. Do it. Defy convention. No one can make you stop.
Yep. And with that, we can now go back into our HTML.
Actually, if it's not a bother, can you grab the link to this code just in case anybody wants to poke at it?
Oh, this
yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. I'm gonna paste a link to the repo, and people can make pull requests even if they want.
Yeah, y'all can get as weird. Well, I mean, be polite. But you can fork this, meaning make your own copy if you see the options at the top. So you can watch this and say, ooh, I want to see if they mess around with this later on. And we probably won't. We're going to go take a break. You could fork this, so make your own copy and do weird stuff. Or you could star it, which is just like a cute little bookmark.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
So
we're waiting for that yellow dot to turn green, aren't we?
Yes. But in the meantime,
and I bet hard refreshing it'll probably do that.
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah, there it is.
So.
Let's give it a try. This needs to be larger. Now, that's done. But what I see here is thanks for visiting us on, and this is still empty.
Yeah.
And do we have an idea why?
Oh, was there, like, we're not injecting it into an empty string, are we? There's just nothing in that span at all.
There's nothing in that span, so it should be empty right at the start. Yeah. But when the JavaScript runs,
it's because we loaded the date before we loaded the element it sits in.
Well, let's have a look. So we don't have a script
we didn't load it at all.
That's the thing. Yep.
It's like how we didn't link to Maria's Carlos and Maria are way ahead of me where they're like, Jess. I'm like, oh, maybe it's this, and you're like, we just didn't link to the JavaScript file.
So we got to
So
do that.
you pointed out as well that we do also have to make sure that the JavaScript file loads after the this line of JavaScript, these lines of JavaScript need to load after line 13 where the footer loads.
Exactly.
We could like put the JavaScript down there, the link to it, but that feels really hacky, doesn't it?
I've
Like
seen
if we
it
had other Java,
done.
like it's okay to link to it at the bottom of your page.
I've seen it done. Yeah.
All right,
The best practice would be to put it at the top.
that's
And
like my general indication is that's often where it goes.
yeah.
Would we want to put it at the top and then add a callback, which seems like
Yeah.
adds a timeout to our
Yeah.
JavaScript?
Let's do that.
And after that, do you know what we're gonna do?
That-
I mean, I'm going to lunch. I don't know what y'all are gonna do.
Of course.
We had a big
Johannes.
scary storm yesterday. Oh,
Oh dear.
defer is an option. Defer is an option here.
Yeah. Sorry, Jess, I interrupted.
No, with actual on point stuff. I was woofling about weird storms yesterday, which I think might be hitting Europe proper today.
Yeah, that's what I read. Defer. Did I do that right? Let's see. Script defer. I'm just going to look this up on MDN.
Oh gosh, it looks like the storm's hitting Northern Europe today. Oh no.
Oh dear.
I hope y'all have an easier time of it.
So here's a link to MDN that tells you that you can add an option to your script tag called defer. Thank you very much, Johannes. That lets it load until it defers it. It just says like, it's here. Just load it after.
Do this last.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all we have to do. We don't have to go through our JavaScript and add a callback or anything.
Nope. We're good to go.
This is now my favorite way to do that.
Add script tag for index.js. Defer it.
Beautiful. Yeah, commit to main. If anybody ever fusses at y'all for committing to main, you just be like, well, I saw Ramon do it a lot.
I'm a bad influence.
Obviously, I would never. We're going to reload that just to see that little green check. Oh.
If you're impatient like me, you can also go to this action tag, this action tab. You could see it in action here.
In progress.
It's always fun to watch.
Oh.
Look at it doing all this
all the
stuff
happening behind the scenes.
I love watching this. And that's
also
done.
It took 20 seconds. Me saying, oh, come on, when it takes 20 seconds is me being a bit. And now it's deploying.
Reported
and
success.
This is really exciting because it's sort of previewing some of the more deployment related stuff that we'll probably need to learn someday.
Cool. So that's done. We can go watch. We can go check it out in public.
Show us.
Hub.io. Let's see. So I'm just going to give that a hard refresh. Oh. I did not expect that. Tell you what, folks. I'm going to inspect. I'm going to open up the console and see what's going on here. And look at that. Sorry, it's a bit small. I don't know how to make that larger. All right.
That's all right. So we see doc type lang.
So we can see here the script got deferred, which is good. Oh, but look at that. Oh, for some reason my HTML messed up and now it's all inside this script tag. And you know, I know what happened, Jess. I forgot to close the script tag.
That happens. That's chill.
Yeah.
That is okay. We could just go close that script tag. Nothing is bad. No, I mean, everything's a little bit bad. And you know what? This is another reason not to. Hey, maybe those closing tags do mean something. It's another reason not to commit direct to main in it.
Yep.
I'm still gonna.
We just broke production live.
Hey, and that's you'll sometimes hear people say, "Oh, I broke prod,"
Yeah.
and that means, oh, they broke the live site or they broke the live application. And the first time you do this, you say, "Jess, what do you mean the first time you do this?" I say, "Oh, you're gonna do it, babe. It's okay." Maybe if you work at like Microsoft or something, it'll be harder to break prod, but I believe in you. Um, the
So
first time you break something in production, it's the end of the world. You're like, "Oh my god, oh, I'm gonna get fired." And the nice thing about talking to senior developers is they're like, "Oh yeah," and they'll tell you ha 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 funny stories about the times they have broken things irreparably. The nice thing about version control is if we break something, we could just go back in time to when it wasn't broken. Carlos and Johannes are suggesting that we want like a full tag
okay.
close. We think that script might not be self-closing.
Okay, let's do that.
Starlight's saying something else, which is delete prod. And this is something that's happened before where people have accidentally deleted, and here prod means production. So real active. People have deleted the production database. People have deleted the production. And this isn't a too techie way of saying delete prod, but we almost didn't get the movie Toy Story 2 because
I
it
heard about
accidentally
that.
got deleted and the
Yeah.
backups weren't working. And if you don't test your backups, you don't have real. But somebody had been on maternity leave, so had a copy on their computer.
What a relief.
So the lessons here are A, don't delete prod on purpose. And B, backups only matter when back. And Atraf is asking, well, what's the difference between async and defer here?
Great
Oh,
question.
look at you, Joel. Look at you just light up. You're like, you waited your
No,
whole life for that
it's a good
question.
question because both of them are loading the JavaScript later. However, if you have a script tag like that without defer or async, the website will stop rendering until the JavaScript is loaded. This is called synchronous, right? This is synchronous. So it's like, hold on, browser, just a minute. I gotta read all this JavaScript. Okay, right? Looks good. Done. Let's move on to the HTML. Async says kind of like multitasking. Asynchronous, it's just like loading both at the same time. It might be done sooner, it might be done later, you know. Defer says, just a second, JavaScript. I know you're there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna finish loading the entire HTML, then I'll load the JavaScript. So async is multitasking, defer is hold your horses. Yeah.
So async is when I feel like it.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
But defer is just like, nah, do this last. I'm lazy.
Exactly. I like that. Yeah, so I've closed my script tag here. I'm going to go ahead and
We've got a
pop her.
performance question to say, oh, if you place the JavaScript link at the head, it takes longer to load the page than if you place it below the footer of the browser, loads the images and then the JavaScript and gives the user a better experience. I think this depends how much JavaScript you're using. And really, I might say, unless you're doing a web application where you need a lot of JavaScript, if you're putting enough JavaScript in a website where you're getting where you're having to coordinate where to put it as a performance factor, I might lovingly suggest adding less JavaScript.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
So
Great
maybe
answer.
if you're using really big, heavy frameworks, maybe. But I think for most websites, you shouldn't, and that's not to say people aren't, but I would hope you're not using so much JavaScript that it's heavy, even for users on mobile devices or even for users on wobbly connections. Yeah. So I'm not quite sure from a performance perspective, but if your website is JavaScript heavy enough that this is a factor, I'm going to lovingly fuss about like maybe a little bit less JavaScript if you can, if it's not a bother.
Cool. So let's take a look. That's built.
Hey.
So let's do that.
Because we had Stuart come and talk to us about using less JavaScript, and I confess he was one of our speakers because it's a talk that matched my own bias. Okay, so still nothing, but that's because it's cached.
Okay. Getting there.
Okay.
Inspect again. And we see an error in the console. And I'm sorry, my console's in Spanish.
Why would you be sorry? This rules.
So document.getElementById is not a function. So getElementById. It looks like I've got a typo, and I do indeed have a typo. I'm gonna take a look at the MDN. The D in ID should not be capitalized.
What?
Mm-hmm.
HTML would never kick off about that. HTML would just be like, fine.
Nope. JavaScript is picky when it comes to this.
I love how everybody else is backing up my bad opinions. Like, well, we don't really need JavaScript at all. And like, oh, you know what? We should just avoid it if we can. And row after our own heart to be like,
Yep.
we should. And you're absolutely right. Thank you very much.
Thank you
I
indeed.
think we're going to do that. I say we, like I am doing any of the work. I'm just here chuckling to be like, well, that does seem to be broken. Oh, this is way more detail than I've done for anything.
So that's done. Let's commit our changes. We can go here and be impatient as this builds.
And does I'm not trying to get rid of y'all in the hurry, but I am getting kind of lunch impatient. Do we have any other questions for sort of this session? This is not going to be the last time Ramon and I stream. We're just going to take a couple breaks. Couple breaks. Yeah, we're just going to chill for a while. And then we'll probably do some informal streaming between now and the next boot camp. So lots of question and answer stuff, lots of getting you unstuck. We'll probably make some more websites.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But if we've got any other questions we can answer for you right now, we will do this joyously and patiently and cheerfully. Yeah. Error with permissions policy. Okay. So Maria's seeing this error in their console saying, error with permissions policy header, unrecognized feature interest cohort.
That's odd. Do you have it on? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say not being able to see your code. It might be easier to, if you're doing this in GitHub, link us to that in Discord or on the forum, and we'll come and have a look with you. Totally. You know what? If our smarter learners don't do this first.
So look at that.
What? And not just the date, but the date like giving us a heads up where we're like, hey, this is European Central. And since my system is set to Spanish, I'm going to give you this heads up in Spanish.
Yep. So we can see, thanks for visiting us Saturday, February 19th. It's 12:37 here.
Is it? Oh, because it's 11:37 here.
European Central Standard Time.
Huh. And if you wanted to in the JavaScript, you could include only certain amounts of this. But since some of you were saying, oh, you know what? I'm not feeling like I could do stuff on my own. If you wanted, you know exactly where this is going. If you wanted to do something that felt like a little bit of a stretch where you didn't have someone helping, I mean, it will help when you get stuck. It might be really nice to fork this code. Do whatever, but try to get it to just show the date, the day and the month, or try and get it to just show the time. So you've got the outline of this code. Try and make it show only a portion of this code, just to see. And it'll be stressful and you'll get stuck. You'll be like, oh no. But those miserable things are kind of good for you. Fabulous. Do we have any other questions? And if we don't, both of us are going to sign up for at least a couple weeks. And we'll be aggressively enforcing our time off with each other. Oh, wait, homework. So I think very few of you are going to be finished with I saw a couple of people get their certificates, and that's too fast. That's so fast.
Congratulations.
Very strong congrats. But for those of you who aren't finished with it yet, that's fine. Right? 6 weeks? That's too fast. That's so fast.
It's a lot of stuff to do in 6 weeks.
There's no hurry. The videos are going to stay up. We're going to stay in the forums. We're going to stay in the Discord. Everything's scary, but everything's fine. Your homework is, very laid back pace to go ahead and carry on with your projects. Yeah. Yep. And much more aggressively, Ramon, what's their more important homework?
It's a Saturday here. It's Saturday afternoon. I'm gonna like the homework that I would love to give is to go and relax, have the most wonderful, easy day that they can.
Yeah. And I know not everybody has the weekend off, and I know that people have different kinds of schedules and different kinds of obligations. So I'm not telling you you have to whisk yourself off to the beach right away. What I am saying is that you've got to be as easy as yourself as you have the power to, and not just today, but all weekend. And oh, ha ha ha, I worked the weekend. I'd be like, oh, ha 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 ha. You still have to be gentle to yourself while you work.
Mhm.
And you've got double homework of being really chill to yourself the next time you get days off,
Totally.
or else. So we're going to go ahead and lovingly sign off. We will be going ahead and setting up new streaming schedules soon. I know most of you join us on YouTube. We won't be streaming on the Class Central YouTube for a little while. We'll probably be on Twitch, and we'll stream that to our own YouTube channels as well to make sure that we've got closed captioning coverage, which Twitch doesn't do
Nice.
especially well yet. We'll come back and we'll let you know in the forum and Discord when we're doing some more streaming work, and it'll be really, really laid back. Yeah. Fab.
Wonderful.
You know
Jess,
what?
thank you so much.
God, thank you. And thank you all to all the learners. Getting to learn with you all has been an impossible privilege. You all ask such weird, such fun, such delightful questions. Oh, we'll link to our Twitches. That makes sense.
It's a good call.
Um, Starlight's always out here either causing deep chaos or being decidedly helpful. And really, in this day and age, those are pretty much the same thing, aren't they? Oh, Ramon, is your Twitch link something very, very cute?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and post mine.
So I'm here and Ramon's, and we'll probably just mirror each other's. So
Most
yeah.
exactly.
If you've got to follow one of us, Ramon streams more often and he's actually funny and he's nice. Oh, wait. Oh, no, I'm mirrored.
Am I pointing the right way? I hope
You-
so.
But we'll chat to you all soon. Thank you so much. And you better do that homework about relaxing as much as you can.
Totally. Congratulations, everybody. Take care.
And don't feel like you've got to hurry at all. Yeah? You finish when you finish when you finish. If you got to take a break and come back, you take a break and come back. Yeah?
Take care, everyone.
Everything's going to be fine. Bye, my loves.